Okay, been working through some problems with the SSL, and been working tonight on the master status board out of the master section. The specific problem was that you could not flip the inputs, the global input flip. It was intermittent to start with, and then initially I thought it was just a dirty contact in the switch, but then it completely failed. Tested the switch is fine. So anyway, I didn't video this because it's extremely boring doing circuit tracing, but on the board here, and schematic down here, and here's the book and so on. But so here's I did a print out of the schematic. I generally do a print if I'm going to be working off it, so that if I want to I can make notes and so on. But anyway, it's a fairly simple circuit. It consists of a buffer and a flip-flop. The buffer is actually just on the same flip-flop IC, and it's a dual flip-flop, and it's just using the other flip-flop as a buffer. And up through a 4K7 resistor from the output of the second flip-flop into a BC212 NPN transistor, and then out to the flip bus and the lamp for the global flip switch. Now it was stuck in a high state, so the light was always on the flip switch, and it would not change. But if you changed the console status, it would flip it. But that's a different. It was still holding in the opposite direction to what it should have been, because the global flip was always engaged. That's a bit of a long way around to say it, but anyway, that proved that there was nothing wrong with the bus to me. I just traced through the circuit to find that the transistor had failed. Initially I thought we had a crook capacitor, which is a 100 nanofarad cap across the collector and emitter of TR14, but turns out that tested fine. And on one side of the 4K7 resistor, I was seeing the flip-flop operating, doing what it should have done. I'd traced through it and it was doing everything it should have. But on the other side it was held high, so it looks like we got a short circuit across the collector and base of that transistor. So I don't actually have one of those as a spare, so I just stole another one off the board in a section that wasn't under test. And because I don't have an extender card for this particular board, I've only just found out today that the master section extender cards are all specific to the individual cards within the master section. I thought once you had a 55-way and a 65-way card that you were fine for all of those boards, but not. It's a trap for young players, and I am new to SSL maintenance, so turns out the keyway on the boards are different, and there's a full set. There's an individual extender board for every single card within the master section. So I'm either going to get busy and make a set of boards for it, or drop down the what would it be? It's about $2,400 for a full set. There's currently a set on eBay available in England, but I don't think I'd get that past the Minister of War and Finance. But anyway, so what I did to test it is I literally, pardon me, it's a we derived 7 volts for this logic section between the 18 and 11 volt bus. So we've got plus 18 on the high side of the VCC, and the plus 11 bus is operating as like the negative part of the circuit for the logic section. Any SSL tech will know that. I'm not an SSL tech, but it's pretty easy to see it when you look at the schematic. So basically I just wired it out to a bench power supply, set at 7 volts, 6.99 to be exact, only because I didn't tweak it that fine. Basically just powering up that section of this board, and then I just did that by soldering onto appropriate sections of the board around the IC, specifically around T11. Actually, I told you a lie. It's across T13 and T11. That's right, T13. It's not the two flip-flops in the same IC. T13 is I would imagine is a factory mod. It's this IC here. But if you look at it on the back of the board, this one here, it's clearly been added after the board was manufactured. So initially when I saw that, I thought that maybe someone had carried out some sort of little mod in the studio that owned this, but but it's actually on the schematic, so it's something that's been added at some stage by the factory. So anyway, that's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And anyway, long story short, TR14 was at fault. It was crook, so I swapped that out and sold it out to took the output off to my meter so that I could see the voltage on the output of pin 3 and 4. 3 being our flip bus, and 4 being the lamp power feed for the button on the master section. So I just stuck my meter across either one of those, it didn't matter which, and had another loose wire soldered to the 18 volt rail because it's an 18 volt input, or it's got 18 volts behind the momentary switch. So the pin 3 on T13 is looking for a high or an 18 volt input on that, which then triggers the flip-flop and ultimately toggles the transistor and toggles the output. Now, it wasn't toggling, it was holding high, so by stealing a transistor from another part of the board, putting it in there, I was able to trigger the toggle. Worked fine. So tomorrow when I'm in town, I'll be able to pick up a transistor from the local parts shop, put that in, and we should have ourselves a fully repaired 82 E21 board. Yay! Now there's many 4 faults to go. Okie dokie, so here's our repaired board back into the master chassis. As we can see, it's still out of the console. And if we have a look-see at our status buttons, we're now doing everything we should be doing. Oh, that's got a really bright LED in it, I've got to change that one. But the groovy thing is, it's our master input flip is now working. I was scratching through spare parts that came with the console, and I happened to find the correct transistor, because it turns out the BC212L is not a super common transistor in Australia. So actually got some on the way from England, but scratching through I found 3 or 4 of them brand spanking new ones in a little parts container. So here was this little black doodad with a couple of ICs on it and some random transistors, and when I had a look at the transistors, they were the correct type, so I was like, woohoo! So soldered that in, and let's fix that fault, and everything else works now, because it created problems. I stole one of the transistors to get this working to test it, which screwed up the selection between the replay and mix, I think it was. So anyway, I've put one of the new transistors in from the position that I stole it from, and we are happy days. Yay!